We are here to review city manager's position candidate interviews. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Burgess.
Here.
Councilwoman Noble.
Here.
Councilman Maldonado. Councilman Shelley. Councilman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Woolman.
Here.
Mayor Bateman.
Here. At this time, I'm going to hand the gavel over to my Vice Mayor. Use it if you need it.
First of all, I just want to say thank you so much to Colin and his team. I also want to say thank you to my fellow council members, because this is the first time that I know, Marlene and I were trying to figure it out, I think it's the first time in the history of Homestead that we've ever gone outside the scope and hired a recruiter, and you've certainly brought us 5 wonderful, excellent candidates. And I want to thank our council for allowing us to do this, and I think you'll be pleased at the end results. Colin, I'm probably just going to turn this over to you as direction, and then you tell me when you need our response.
Right. What we typically do in these situations is the chair of the meeting, which I guess is the vice mayor at this point, welcomes the candidate and then just asks them to tell us a little bit about themselves. And then once that's the candidate's done, then turn to one end of the dais or the other and just ask if anyone has a question. Usually you just rotate around the dais asking questions, and these things are really kind of informal in the sense that theoretically we have it scheduled for, say, 20-25 minutes, but if you're done early, that's fine. If you want to take longer, that's fine. Usually in terms of questions, what we suggest is if a candidate answered one question with you particularly well or particularly poorly, that might be a question that you want to ask the candidate in this setting so that the rest of the council can hear the response.
If I can ask you...
Just real quick, do we need any type of information from the city attorney? There's 6 or 7 bullets here. Do you need to read anything into the... Okay. Just want to make sure before we went on and we weren't in some kind of violation. But thank you.
Okay. Colin, I'd like for you to be the person who introduces the candidate rather than me. Thank you. I'd be happy to introduce you, but I think it'd be better coming from Colin.
All right. Well, and I was going to say, I was going to go get my notebook so that I didn't mess it up. But our first candidate is Lee Mangum. And Lee was previously the borough manager of Lansdale, Pennsylvania. He was there as the borough manager for 22 years. 31. Oh, excuse me. Maybe I should let Lee introduce himself. That's right. I couldn't add. That's right. I did the math and got it wrong. 31. Excuse me. And before that was with the American Heart Association and the American Cancer Society. He has a degree from Drexel, a master's in urban management, and a BS in secondary education from East Stroudsburg University. And having said that, I'll turn it over to Lee.
Thank you, Colin. Before I say anything about myself, I'd like to extend my thanks to the City Council of Homestead. Mayor Bateman and all of council have been extremely hospitable, as has your staff, in welcoming us and getting us oriented. So thank you, and thank you for the opportunity of interviewing for the position of City Manager. I should mention, I have been in the field in one community for 31 years. I think someone used the term in one of the earlier one-on-ones. I survived 16 elections. I've had political parties change on a number of occasions that are in control of the community. I oversaw 2 utilities, an electric utility as well as a sewer utility. All of that is in my resume. I am have been a member throughout my career of the International City Management Association. I have attended all of the meetings except I'd say the last one in San Jose. I attend workshops periodically on everything from downtown revitalization, economic development. I've served on a number of different county boards. Lansdale's located in suburban Philadelphia, in Montgomery County. I serve on everything from economic development task forces to the Montgomery County Revitalization Board that helps distressed communities in Montgomery County to the tune of about $5 million a year. In terms of non-work related issues that I view as work related because it's about commitment to community. I've served for 15 years as the president of a visiting nurse association with a $6.5 million budget and quite a number of nurses on staff. We run everything from a hospice to Meals on Wheels and programs like that. My career goal has always been centered around helping communities as it relates to economic development. I am very much intrigued by communities that are trying to redo historic cores of central business districts. I have a great deal of experience also in the area of transit-oriented development, and in the last 5 years have done about $125 million of private sector development in the community that I managed without a single dollar of municipal money being put up to achieve it. I'm very comfortable raising grants. My background is in fundraising and development work. Coming from when I was in graduate school, I worked for both the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association in the field of fundraising, specifically foundations, major gifts, professional organizations. And with that, Madam Chairman, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you so much. I was very impressed with our interview. Last night, even though I had laryngitis worse than today, I still was able to carry on some great conversations, and I thought that was a very wonderful way to, and thank you, Colin, for that suggestion. It was a great way to meet each other in a non-formal atmosphere, and I know I thoroughly enjoyed our conversations.
As did I.
I'll open it up to council. Any questions or comments?
I enjoyed meeting him. I want to congratulate him. Anybody can sit through 16 different council meetings. I think we were talking last night, and you were one of the longest surviving people in the country.
Well, when I had 25 years, and I was one of 20 in the country at achievement of 25 years, so I don't know. I didn't keep pace once I passed 30.
One other question, I guess, is how do you feel after talking to all of us? Do you feel comfortable that you could come down here and work for all of us and the staff and what you're...
I believe I could. I think it is truly, no pun intended, a breath of fresh air, South Florida. It's a extremely attractive climate. It is a place, Florida is a place that I intend on retiring to, hopefully many years from now, with my family. I have been struck by the diversity of opinions and the sincerity that I've heard voiced by each one of you relative to your wishes to see this community succeed. I would say, first of all, I think you've already succeeded. I only knew of Homestead back in 1993 when you suffered a terrible, terrible natural disaster. The fact that you have brought this community as far as you have says an awful lot about the talent of yourselves as well as your predecessors. I'm quite excited about the idea that during this pause, and that's all I think it is for this community, is a pause right now. This recession should give you an opportunity to take a little bit of a breather, maybe get some governmental homework done for the next burst of commercial and residential development, because that's what I think the future of this community is.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, thank you. And I also want to compliment Mr. Mangan. I think that I thoroughly enjoyed the interview. There was a lot of experience and insight to your experience of where you've come from and 31 years of experience. And so it was refreshing to me to see, and not an outsider's perspective, but someone that's not familiar with South Florida at this level like some of the other candidates are, and very insightful, and I wish you the best. And just from our interview, I was able to learn quite a bit, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Close. Councilman Williams?
Yes, I think from our time spent was very well spent, and some of your gifts and graces and your talents that you've been able to display in your current area of expertise. And I think some of what you bring to the table is very much needed, especially in these difficult times of opportunity. Challenges that we have, there's always opportunity that exists in the midst of those challenges. And I think you bring a very good collective, cohesive building bridges that need to be repaired or built. So I look forward to some more conversation at some point. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
And ditto, I'd just like to close with one by saying I thoroughly enjoyed my conversation with you and your wife last night. Lovely lady, please give her my best.
Thank you, sir.
And I appreciate you traveling the distance that you traveled. And it's interesting, in my government class 101 back in '95, when I learned what the different names were of towns, cities, and boroughs, and I had never known of a borough. I mean, I knew that it was a form of a title for a city, but that's pretty interesting that your city is called the borough, right?
Yep.
That's pretty interesting, pretty neat.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Mayor, and thanks again to all of you for your considerations.
Well, I would just like to say one thing.
Okay.
I think you're a breath of fresh air, no pun intended.
Thank you.
It is certainly so nice to have somebody from a different state come into our city. And so often when you are faced with so many challenges, sometimes we don't see the sunshine, you know. Sometimes we just see the things that we have to, the problems that we have in front of us. So I really enjoyed meeting you, and I agree with Mayor Bateman. Thank you so much for your wife to come, and that meant a lot to me, that you cared enough to bring your spouse with you to take a look at our fine city. So
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
She's enjoyed it thoroughly also.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll get the next candidate.
Bye. Safe travel.
Fixed some scrivener's errors. Thank you.
We'll let them fire away.
All right.
Okay. Our next candidate's background is a little different from most of the candidates that you've seen today, the other candidates. Michael Thompson from Fairhope, Alabama. He is currently the county administrator of Baldwin County and has dealt with some tar balls recently, I gather.
That's correct.
Prior to that, he worked with Hewlett-Packard and a spin-off of Hewlett-Packard, or a division of the company divided, Allegiant Technologies. He started as an analyst, a financial analyst, and worked his way up through senior analyst, process analyst, team leader, project manager, information technology business manager, and IT project manager. So I think he knows something about computers and systems at least, and something about government. So I'll just turn it over to Michael, and if you want to just kind of give us a brief introduction, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then they'll fire away.
Sure, that's fine. My personal history, I was born and raised down here in South Florida, South Miami. Left to go to college. Haven't been down here as a resident since then, but certainly love the area. Most of my career has been in the private sector. I've managed a county, 180,000 people in the county approximately, for the past 4.5 years or so, and this position seems very interesting to me.
Thank you, Michael. I'll start, this time I'll start Ms. Lopez.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor. Mr. Thompson, I think one of your strengths is your private sector experience. I think that a lot of times you hear that government should have a business approach, and that definitely has been the tone of this past election, is we should be more business-minded in the way we run things. So, in my opinion, that was one of the strengths that stood out in your application and your resume. And thank you again for traveling, and I enjoyed our interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, I think at the same point that your financial background that you bring brings a sort of expertise as a city manager that we've been lacking to be able to do projections and for what we can anticipate to happen, and to have somebody on board that brings that perspective in their credentials is highly on top of my list of a candidate because of the economic plight that we're in at this moment. And with your background and your corporate experience and that you bring with your experience with government will help to perhaps bring us some leadership in that area that we really need very badly. And but I did enjoy the moments and time that we shared in the interview process. And thank you for your level of commitment and service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Damon.
Yes, Michael, I truly had a wonderful conversation with you and your wife last night, and my wife, and please extend my, hello and goodbye to her, as after today. My interview with you was very good. I truly, as others have said, I really look at your private sector time, and I think it brings a lot to the table. And I appreciate you making the long travel you have, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I echo what's been said. I think your financial background is very strong. And in a time of the crunch that we've all been faced, you face it up in Alabama, we face it down here. I think things like that are definitely a big positive and can be a very big strength for the city. So I enjoyed our time together. I think we had a good conversation, and I learned a lot about you and your abilities, I think, and I wish you luck. And the one question that I do have is, after meeting all of us and some of the staff, do you still feel comfortable in what working for us as a whole, as you see each one of us with our own opinions and ideas? Is that something that you think is obtainable, an obtainable goal as a whole for us, that our goals are something that you...
Well, I do think so. The city council and the mayor, I think the citizens here are pretty lucky. You all have a varied background, and that's a big plus, I think, to move an organization to the proper decision. It allows ideas to be thought of from a lot of different directions. It helps to make sure that you get to where you need to be, and you look at the idea from a lot of different perspectives. I'll be frank with you, the city has some financial hurdles, but all local government right now does have those financial hurdles. And I think the focus should be to kind of stabilize the senior management. The focus should be to develop your plans on where you want the city to go and how you want to get there. The economy is going to turn. I can't tell you when, but sooner or later the economy is going to turn. I think we've seen the worst of it. But when the growth comes, I think the important perspective that we should keep in mind is we want to be prepared when it does come. And that's what sometimes these lulls allow you to do. It allows you to prepare yourself to get to where you want to go. And, I'd want to be focusing on that. And really the biggest hurdle for me personally, or my biggest focus, I guess I should say, is going to be staff. Staff morale, the willingness of staff to work with one another, to support one another. Those are all the things that I think as a manager is my job to do. And I very much value a staff that will work together and support one another, and that's what I would be pushing.
Thank you, and go Auburn.
There you go. Thank you.
I just wanted to close this by saying I really enjoyed our meeting, and Michael said a few things to me that I thought was so profound, and that was we were talking about what he's an expert at, and of course he is an expert at finance and budget, but he said such a wonderful thing, and that was that you're only as good as the people that you have around you. And I think that's so important to say, because our staff is very important to each and every one of us, and they work really, really hard, and they may need some guidance, or you may want to share some things with them that they're not used to having shared with. But another thing that you said to me that meant an awful lot to me was that you would walk away right here, right now, if ever that you felt you had to serve with a council that did not have the utmost of integrity.
That's correct.
And he said that he would dig ditches before he would compromise himself, and I think that just speaks highly of your character, and I really appreciate meeting you.
Well, thank you,
Please
Ms.
give
Baldwin.
my best to Nancy, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. And safe travel home.
All right. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Hope not, we're not going to remember it.
Thank you, sir. It's all signed. Okay, do me a favor, James, on this one.
Who's next?
But I need you to sign this page for me. You know why? Because I had the one that wasn't on the line all the way yesterday.
They're beautiful.
The photographs, these are all photographs. They look like original paintings. Yeah, on canvas.
Take this end chair. Okay, our next candidate is George Gretzis. George most recently was the city manager in Fort Lauderdale. Before that, he was the executive officer, hope I have that right.
Yes.
I do, for the city of White Plains, New York. Before that, he served as a consultant to the program coordinator and assistant to the chairman. He's a little unusual. We won't hold this against him, but he does have a JD from New York Law School. So, having said that, George, if you just want to kind of introduce yourself, say a few words about who you are and and we'll let the council fire away.
Sure. First of all, I want to thank you all for your hospitality and for the time that you've taken over the last couple of days to go through this process with us. It's been great getting to know your community, and spent quite a bit of time roaming around your neighborhoods and seeing your parks, which I think are in terrific condition. I was city manager of Fort Lauderdale for 6 years, and prior to that in White Plains for 6.5 years. Fort Lauderdale, our basic issue was getting through the city through a financial crisis. At the time that I arrived there, the city had gone through fairly big turmoil on just about everything you can imagine. Probably the perfect storm of government. Everything had kind of melted down. The city had spent down its fund balance. At the time, they should have had somewhere between 10 to 15 million in fund balance, and they ended up with $875,000. Their bond rating had dropped to AA3. They had a $21 million insurance deficit, and service delivery problems, code enforcement problems, layoffs, furloughs, lawsuits, discrimination issues. And so my job, I was hired by the commission to kind of get the organization back on track and to try to get them on a sound financial footing. The commission was united in that arena, and we hit the ground running, reorganized the staff, got a team performing in I think a peak performance way, and as a consequence, by 2009 we closed our books with a $73 million fund balance, 28% of our expense budget. We had our bond rating went from AA3 to AA1, one notch below AAA. Our insurance deficit turned into a $10.5 million surplus. Code enforcement team started doing great things. You could see the visible differences in the city. And Mayor, I know you always talk about a beautiful city is a proud city, and I know that that's a very important thing for all communities. And I think you could see the visible differences. Focusing on quality of life issues, crime, we ended up with a 30-year car crime rate was at a 30-year low at the time that I left. Taxes, 3 out of the 6 budgets that I proposed were tax reductions. The other 3 were keeping the tax rate stable. Our tax rate is at a 24-year low in Fort Lauderdale. Our tax rate is amongst the lowest in Broward County, and amongst similar size cities in the state, we're amongst the lowest. Our fees were amongst the lowest in the state. Our bond rating was amongst the highest of similar size cities in the state. So the team performed really well, and it was a group effort. You know, those kind of results don't come because the city manager is some sort of a genius. It's really a team effort. It's a way to get the team getting the results that the elected body wants, and certainly that's what we accomplished in Fort Lauderdale. White Plains, our biggest challenge was economic development. We had a 31% office vacancy rate in our downtown, which was amongst the highest in the nation at the time. Boarded up stores and 99-cent stores, and we created a nationally recognized economic renaissance, and we're very proud of what we accomplished there as well. And again, all of this happened because there was the will by the elected officials to get this done. The vision was a shared one, and the staff delivered the results that the elected officials wanted. One thing that I'd like to mention that we didn't have a whole lot of time to discuss individually, and that is my time on a school board. I spent 8 years on a school board, and even though city managers don't run schools typically, that experience has been very helpful to me because, you know, your community is as good as its schools, and, you know, we say that even though we don't run schools as a city, your kids are our kids. And in Fort Lauderdale, I put that to practice by having quarterly meetings with all of our high school principals, elementary schools, and middle schools. We get everybody into a room, administrators to administrators, and basically ask them one question: what can we do as a city to help you all out as administrators? And it worked out really well because, look, we had independent budgets and we had different issues to deal with, but they were doing a school construction project. It was nice that we had the building department and code department in the room. If there was an issue with drinking, teen drinking, we had the police chief in the room. And so we solved many of the issues of mutual concern. And I think if you spoke to any of them, you'd find that it worked out really well. And we
continue to cultivate that relationship because it's good for the city and for the kids. And with that, be happy to answer any questions.
Wow. That's a lot. Thank you. Mr. Williams, let's start with you.
No, I've thoroughly enjoyed the moments that we sat and had a quick dialogue. But we were pressed for time, but you certainly made up for that during your presentation. Of course, you expressed some concerns with me about some issues relative to your past, but I don't look at that as a major challenge. Of course, we all have personality issues and personality conflicts. We have them up on the dais now, but we move past that for the greater good of the people. So, with that, I really enjoyed our moment in time together.
Likewise.
And hopefully that we shall see how it goes. Thanks.
Thank you.
Mayor Bateman?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Great conversation again last night. Lovely new wife you have. She's very understanding.
Yes,
You bring her straight from the honeymoon to this meeting last night.
From the airplane?
I was impressed, very impressed, and she's, very, very supportive. And that means a lot because it's a team effort. Where she may not be here every day working with you, she's got to listen to you when you get home, because my wife listens to me, I can tell you.
Absolutely.
And sometimes she listens, I think, sometimes she doesn't listen. But it's important that you're both on the same page, and she seemed like that. She definitely supported your efforts there. You definitely had a lot of information. There's no doubt about it. I was very impressed. $600 million budget. I shake my head at it and I go, wow, that's the first thing that caught my eye. The only concerns I had were does the job fit you, because the job you had was so big and the dollar amount was so big. So we discussed that. You seem to be pretty honest with me, very honest with me. And with that said, I wish you the best and your endeavors here, and I wish you the best in your marriage, and thank you for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it very much, Mayor.
Mr. Burgess?
Thank you. No, I just echo, we had a great conversation this morning. We talked about building a team and how important it is, and you explained to me, and how you did it in the past and all that, and I think that, Homestead, even though we're just hiring a city manager, it's not just a city manager that's going to bring us forward. It's going to be what he does with everybody and builds that team and makes it stronger for everybody, to make us look good, to make him look good, to make them look good, everybody. The citizens look good, everybody. So I was impressed with that and your past, and I expressed to you, the falling out or whatever you would like to call what happened up in Broward County is not a concern to me. Those things happen. And like Councilman Williams said, opinions are opinions, and differences are differences. So I just want to say thank you to you, and congratulations on your marriage. And the one question that I am asking everybody, you've met the team or met us all up here now, the council. And do you think that the goals that we've kind of expressed to you individually today are things that are probably not easily obtainable, because we've all got 7 different opinions and 7 different ways that we're trying to stretch it. But do you think that your management style and your abilities are something that could bring us and gel everything together? That was, I know you had things thrown at you from every different direction this morning and different ideas, but with your style of management and all, do you think it's something that you can obtain? What are, not exactly our goals, but what our ideas and our individual goals are, not as a whole, but our individual goals?
Sure. What struck me most about you as individuals is the positive energy, and I feel that each of you have concerns for your community in different ways, but it's the same positive, productive energy. And I think that I mentioned to the mayor that I kind of snuck into the State of the City address just to kind of hear, what was going on in the community, and I was really impressed with not only the energy of the message, but also of the unifying discussion about how you're all kind of charging up the hill together. And I think that's 75% of the battle is having you all wanting the best for your community, and I think it's going to work out just well, assuming your choice.
Thank you. Thank you. Vice
Thank
Mayor.
you. Ms. Lovelace? Thank you, Vice Mayor. One of the highlights of our interview was your example of a private-public partnership, and that's something that we've discussed here at the dais, is the possibility of going into something like that and turning out to be successful. And I know that you shared with me the movie complex. That was very controversial. Some people deemed as corporate welfare because the city contributed $23 million towards that, but it really was the economic engine into that area, and in turn brought about 8 to 10 restaurants. And it just has been a successful project. And so to me, that's something that we're always talking about, again, public-private partnership. But now the challenge is private-public partnership that works, and that works in the short term and in the long term as well. So that was something that really struck with me. And I appreciated how you walked me through the project. And I had this visual of what the movie complex, I haven't seen it, but because of how you walked me through it, I could see the whole project coming together, and I appreciated that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this my turn? First of all, whatever has ever happened in the past, when we talked about this, I was quite impressed that you actually stood up and you said no. And that's what I think we need so often here that we haven't had in a long time. And you knew that it was wrong, the 10% raise was wrong, and you stood up. And another thing that impressed me, probably maybe even more, is that even though the council said, we will not renew your contract, you stayed on. And what was it, 10 months?
Almost 18 months.
Oh, 18 months?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm even more impressed. But not only did you stay on, but you did a good job while you were there, and you never let that deter you in any way. You also were very straightforward that you were going to still do your job. I was also impressed in reading that you make such a point to get so involved in the community, that you go to all the homeowners association meetings at least once or twice, and you make sure that, you probably go more than that, I'm sure you do, because where it said faults was you work too hard and you never get home before 9 o'clock. But
Between advisory boards and neighborhood associations, we had about 100, so it was kind of tough getting around, but we got around.
Wow. Well, see, and I kidded you last night because I got such a kick out of the fact that you just obsessed with streets being dirty and get down on his hands and knees scraping up gum, So I wish you the very best. I wish you the very best, and I think you are. I think that even though you told me that you went to law school because your parents wanted you to go to law school, but I think that will also help us in your experience with the school board. I mean, you have a lot of things going for you, a lot of accomplishments. And last night was the first event, a political event that your wife's ever been to?
Yes.
God bless her. She better hold on tight. But we wish you the very best of luck. And Colin, thank you for bringing such a fine candidate.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Remember, did we put the requirement, I know we had a discussion, did we leave the requirement of moving?
What's in there? Was it 1 year?
Yeah, but in these economic
Slip out in the men's room after I introduce you, so. Okay, our next candidate is Stephen Kroll. Steve has been in local government management for about 28 years. Most recently, he was the city manager of Northport for about 5 years. Before that, he was the city manager in Greenwood Village, Colorado for 5 years, city manager in Commerce City for 5 years, Colorado again, and then a couple of stints as a city administrator in La Vista, Nebraska, and David City, Nebraska. Obviously, he's managed in 3 states, and he's actually had a little private sector experience way back when as a store manager for the Gap, and has his education is from the University of West Virginia, or West Virginia University. Master of Science in Business Administration, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration, Bachelor's in Economics, and a Master's in Public Administration. And having said that, I'll turn it over to Steve to say a few words about himself, and then we'll let you fire away.
And just for the record, I'm not Rick Scott, I think. Yeah, no.
I was going to say.
Already been through that.
I heard Marlene earlier.
Yeah, and I
You
was...
did that a lot, though.
Lately I do, but that's a whole nother story. But if it helps Homestead, hey, I'll be glad. I'll sign something. I'll get the money. I'll bring it back. I'll do what I can do. And I think I was in La Vista, or in Greenwood Village, a long period of time. It was like 12 years or something. So long record of being in employment for cities. Certainly have a long background in municipal experience, but also some experience in private sector experience as well. What is it what more you want me to add? Private, I'm married, 3 kids, all girls. One's going to college in Iowa playing basketball, one's going to school in outside of Northport, and one's a senior in high school.
All right, let's see, whose turn is it? I think it's your turn to start first.
It was a pleasure. Last night was a pleasure. The conversation we had was very good. Today was really answered every question I had. You were very informative. You had some good ideas. We went down a little checklist that I had prepared. I appreciate that, and I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors here, and safe travel home.
I appreciate that, and appreciate being invited, and still very interested. Yes.
Sure.
Mr. Burgess.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. No, I just want to say thank you. We had a very candid conversation this morning about your style of management and what you expect, and because you're kind of interviewing us also, and to see if we're a match. And you were very candid and upfront with me, and I appreciate that. And I think you're very strong. I mean, you've done some wonderful things for the communities that you've been at, and very strong. So, and I've been asking, so I'll ask my standard question. Now that you've met you've met 7 of us, interviewed with 6. I don't know if you got a chance to talk to Elvis or not. Do you think that our goals are something that you can obtain and work through, and work with, and the personalities? Because unfortunately, personalities play a large part of this process, and I would hate for somebody to get down here and realize, oh boy, this isn't what I signed up for or something. So with what you've talked about over the yesterday with Mr. Kelly, today with all of us here, is it something that you think fits your style of management and stuff like that, and what your goals are?
Well, and I certainly understand the importance of credibility and stability in hiring a manager for Homestead. I think that, from what I've heard, I haven't heard anything that's concerned me or scared me yet. I think that there might be an opportunity for some clarification a little bit later on if I get to the point where you've selected me as manager. But I understand the importance of being able to communicate and understand consistently and thoroughly with each of you as individuals as well, and the importance of making sure that one person doesn't get different or more information. So that came through loud and clear. There's not anything that I heard that concerns me from a managerial point of view. I just would want to make sure that you really want a strong manager and that you're willing to let that manager make the decisions in this particular case that he would need to make.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. Have a safe trip home.
Yes. Ms. Lopez?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I appreciate the spreadsheet that you did, and I think that it shows that Northport and Homestead are similar in many different ways, and it gives comfort to perhaps you know what you're coming into and some of the challenges that Northport is facing, Homestead is facing as well. So thank you for the homework, thank you for the research, and thank you for the corrected copy.
Thank you for...
And by the way, Councilman Williams, as soon as you walked in, said, do not call him Rick Scott, so I knew that ahead of time.
I'm picking up on a theme here.
Exactly.
I get Tom Cruise a lot, though, but for some reason, Rick Scott seems to be coming up lately.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you so very much, Vice Mayor. Let me say this in this fashion. You were one of the stronger candidates that I liked, and I think we had some very personal disagreements in the back, philosophical, that I really enjoyed, because I think that challenges us to bring that to the table and to provide from your background and from our backgrounds collectively on how to achieve such goals. And as policymakers, you very much will understand a manager's position and respect the policymaker's decision as elected officials up here. And I appreciated that candor. Then I also appreciated the fact of that you've been in a place for such a time and probably seen a lot more, and you bring a Herculean wealth of experience with you on problem solving. And so I really enjoyed our dialogue, and you stood out among some of the others, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to have that dialogue and be able to discuss issues openly and understand that, as I think I said to all of you, or at least most of you, that understand the difference between the policy decisions, the difficult policy decisions that you all need to make, and some of the managerial operational decisions that you expect a city manager to make. And sometimes that can be a gray area. I appreciate that, and sometimes the discussion back and forth helps to lend a little more credibility to where that gray area may end. But I appreciate that opportunity to be able to discuss that.
Well, we are going to meet after this meeting, but we did have a chance to chat last night, and I so enjoyed our chats, and I like your personality. I mean, you have a great personality. It shows, it shines, and I'm impressed also, as Ms. Lobo said, that the similarity of our communities. I mean, you have 104 square mile community that
Correct.
you manage. That's huge.
It is.
That's huge. And we only have the 16, but as far as density, you know, it's very similar. So, and I think you were responsible for taking it to that point. I mean, because when you came on, the population was one number, and then when you left, it was a huge number. So I was very impressed with that. I'm also very impressed with your customer service policy and how you feel that customer service is one of the major components in making a great city, and that's my little pet peeve as well. So I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about in a few minutes. But I enjoyed meeting you last night. I've enjoyed being around you, having lunch with you today, and can't wait for our little chat in a few minutes.
I appreciate that. If I could just add something on customer service, one of the assumptions that I made coming into Northport was that the customer service really wasn't where I expected it to be. And at one point, I thought it was that employees didn't want to provide good customer service. Certainly my vision of good customer service. What I came to realize was they really didn't know what it was.
Exactly.
And so one of the things that we did several things, but one of the things we did was put together, with the community input, an expectation of what the customer service Bill of Rights are, customer Bill of Rights. We got employees involved and citizens involved in identifying and helping to articulate what good customer service is, what it looks like. And that document's on the Northport website if you want to look at it. I don't know if I included a copy or if I didn't bring a copy, I should have, but it helps identify what good customer service looks like. And we use that sometimes when customer service isn't where it needs to be. We've pull that out. It's posted at every major public access place in City Hall, and say, you know, with the employee, this is not the kind of customer service that we got. Sometimes I get citizens that bring that in and say, hey, this isn't the customer service that I got. And they'll point to one of the items on there and say, oh, well, yeah, you're right. I apologize for that. You didn't get that kind of customer service, and go through and work. But it's a document that wasn't used. It's a form of accountability, but it wasn't something they're used to get you. It was something there to be able to learn from and be able to point out that this is what customer service looks like.
Well,
So
and I think without good customer service, you don't have a good city.
it's one of the
And of
fundamentals.
course, we want our city to be beautiful as well, and we want our city to have all these other things, but you have to have customer service. And I could see Marlene, your sidekick over there, writing down what you were saying just now. So to me, that was very important, and I enjoyed reading about that.
And that it applies to all populations of the city and all segments of the city and across the city.
Thank you so much. And if you don't mind sticking around for a few minutes, we have a
sticking.
date.
All right.
Okay. I guess you have to go now, but
Thank you, and I appreciate being invited and appreciate your hospitality. Thank you.
thank you.
Now I'll go get the final candidate.
Everybody.
We're going to send you to Tallahassee and just hang out in the coffee shops and get people to give us money. I heard you say that to him. He does look a lot like him. But he doesn't have eyes.
Where is Dad today?
Introduction. All right. And our last candidate for this afternoon is Ken Fields. Ken was most recently the village manager in Isla Mirada, served as the tribal manager for the Seminole tribe for 4 years, an assistant city manager in Hollywood for 6 years, director of business operations in the Software Engineering Institute at Carnegie Mellon, been a manager in the government services group at Arthur Young, and so on and so forth. And having said that, I'll turn it over to Ken to do a brief introduction. Just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll let them fire away.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you. Mr. Benzinger sort of summarized my experience. I've been in the public sector or related nonprofit or management consulting to the public sector for just about my entire career. I really feel that public service is a great profession. I think it's an honor to be able to serve the public. It's important to me that I take great pride in the work that I do because I always like to think that I'm working to make any place I am a better place for everybody to live. And I think that's all too often, I think we've heard that, public employees don't earn their pay, they don't work hard, it's an easy job, and I take great pride in the work, and I try to instill that in my staff that, without you guys, the garbage doesn't get picked up, the sewage doesn't get treated, public safety is not taken care of, and you should really take great pride in what you do, and don't let anybody ever say that the public sector is not a great place to work and not a great place to be employed, and I try to instill that in my team members, and I would look forward to doing that here at Homestead. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Williams, to start with you. I have lost track of who's supposed to go first. John's turn. Oh, it's John's turn? John, sorry, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Fields, for coming down and showing interest in what we all call home here. And, we're proud of it, and we'd like to take it to the next step. And I think your experiences can help us do that. So thank you for coming down and showing your interest. And I'll ask you the same point. You've met us all now, with the exception maybe of Elvis.
I met him last night.
I met him last evening.
Haven't talked to him, but what I've been doing is asking, do you think that your management style and your abilities fit with what we're looking? I know you've spoken to us all individually, not as a whole, and we haven't made a set list or anything, but what are each one of our wish lists is, or concerns, is something that you feel comfortable in and working with that, and also with our personalities down here and the diversity that we have.
Oh, I think so. I think there's a very good match between my skills and my abilities and my experience and the needs of this community. From talking for each of you individually, there are lots of issues in this community, but having challenges, I think, is what makes the job interesting. And as I said, one of my primary goals is, making a place a better place than it was that I found it. And I think this is a community with tremendous upside potential. And I think with good professional management and building a good team with the staff and working together closely with the council, there's a lot of progress that can be made in the future here. And I would very much enjoy that challenge.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. One of the challenges before meeting you was thinking that maybe you were too close to Homestead and really wanting someone out of the area. But the more I spoke with you and the more we talked about some of the areas of Homestead, and you thoroughly understood the role of the air base in relationship to the city. You understood just so many different aspects of the city that I enjoyed seeing that you could come in and readily just hit the ground running, I guess, for lack of better terms, something that everybody always uses. And then we talked about the whole project of the water sewer treatment down in Isla Morada. And we had a lengthy discussion about the political side of it, the administrative part of it, the residents' take on it, and just the overall, and I appreciated your perspective, just kind of reflecting back as what could have been done differently, because a lot of times it's how we manage a project that either leads it to fail or succeed. And so to me, it was very insightful. Like I said, every answer just provided so much knowledge of what is going on here in Homestead, and I think that you would really be an incredible asset to the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I too. I think you're a good fit. I think you're the closest to home, and you answered the questions that actually that I had, and they were good answers and a good fit for our community. I enjoyed our casual conversation last night, and I enjoyed our interview actually today. I wish you the best and safe travels and returns.
All right. Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. And no matter what the outcome is, I wish the best for the city of Homestead and for its future. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Ken, if I could just say something. We had a great conversation earlier, and we talked about everything from the CRA to his managing style, and you're a good manager. You're a really good manager. You're tough. You're tough, but you really are a good manager. And I know that you, I was quite, that's my phone. I'm so sorry. I know that having a job in the tribal, I'm so embarrassed. This is the first time this has ever happened to me. That's the wrong phone. Your time in the tribal council, to me that must have been a huge challenge and yet such a huge accomplishment because to me that speaks volumes that they would hire an outsider to come in there, and knowing that you were only going to be there a certain amount of time, what a fine job you did. So I congratulate you. Mr. Rose, did you have anything you wanted to say?
No, I just enjoyed the moment. He was my first, I think, candidate this morning, and so we spent quite a amount of time together, and so I really enjoyed the vast experience that he brings, and across sectors of public and private, that he brings a wealth of experience and knowledge, and I think, he is definitely could provide the systemic leadership that we we need here in the city, and I think that is to be commended for the work that you've already done, and your work has spoken for you. And so, to me, that speaks volumes. And so, with that, I thank you for your time and opportunity.
Well, thank you for the time.
Thank you, Mr. Vince. Thank you. And Colin, are you going to stay around for a minute, or?
Well, I was just going to say, if I could just have a half a second with you. Normally, what we do for the actual selection process is I'll give you a ballot. We normally ask you to just give us your top 2 choices, not ranked. And that's kind of a starting point so that we kind of know where what the council's feeling. Often 1 or 2 candidates kind of rise to the top in everybody's mind, so there's not a lot of point in talking about the other 3. So if we start with a straw ballot, we have something to talk about, and then from there we can either move to a second ballot or talk or whatever.
Is everybody?
And I'll try and send you a write-up that kind of explains this in a little more detail.
You're not? Okay. Well, I think this was just so that he would know, I think this was just so that Colin would know who maybe the top 3 were, or top 2 were, so that he would have an idea. I'm willing to do that. I mean, I don't know if the others are, but I certainly am willing to. No, he was wanting to know.
Well, not right now.
Oh, not right now. Okay.
No, I'm thinking about on Wednesday. I'll give you a ballot that you can just give me your top 2, and then we can talk about who seems to be the top candidates. That way you won't spend a lot of time talking about maybe 1 or 2 that you're not really interested
When
in.
we make our decision on November 10th.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean today. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant.
No. I think this is something you need to sleep on, and yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Okay,
It's
any
been-
other questions for for Colin?
I'll send you a little email that explains
Okay.
what I'm trying to tell you that I apparently was all confused about, or managed to confuse everybody else about.
Okay. James, do we need to have a motion
Thank you. It was
to?
good to meet you, and I'll see you Wednesday.
Okay. John? Jim?
I move that we conclude
Okay.
this
Okay.
meeting.
All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Okay.